Alright, let's try this again. Had some pretty severe gremlins in the computer, so having to do this on my phone, but at least we're not in a cafe, so you should be able to hear me okay this time. So, welcome to Elite 10. We're on day 6, and today we're talking about action, and we're going to be part B of action. So, what it's really about today is overcoming the problems that tend to come up in implementation. So looking at the main issues, we're going to look at scroll so far, so we're going to kind of just check in with everything up to this point. Hey Kiara, we're going to look at the real problem. Is it really an implementation problem? And we're also going to look at some really simple solutions. So let me just point out too, this isn't just for writing a book. Actually, some of these things we're going to go over aren't even just for writing. These are things that can really help you in quite a few different areas as well. So first thing I wanted to do is touch on what we did yesterday with the 10-minute challenge. So I know I have seen some a post go up with people doing the 10-minute challenge and realizing, wow, okay, I actually did do more words. And this is the point of the 10-minute challenge. It's evidence for yourself of what you can accomplish and what you can do when you get the hell out of your own way. Now, again, hey Susanna, again, this is not only for writing, this is in general. So this 10-minute challenge and writing your content, writing a book, whatever it may be, if it's not something that's in your genius zone, treat it as evidence of what you're capable of, because we're all capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for, which is obviously what we talked about in mindset. So let's jump into it. So first thing I want to cover is scroll so far and do a bit of a step back over what we've done so far and see if you've followed the process or if you've jumped ahead. And you already know if you followed the steps or if you've jumped ahead. So far we've done spine, we've done construct, we've done red carpet, and right now we're in action. So we're right in the middle of the 7 steps of the program at the moment. So if you've done spine, construct, and red carpet, right now, there shouldn't be too much thinking going on. It should be allowing of intuition to write the words. If you're still getting in your own way, my question to you is, which step did you skip? And here's the thing. Whenever you get stuck, and this is what happens in the 90-day program as well, whenever you get stuck, I'm constantly saying, go back to construct, go back to spine. If you've got your spine really strong and you've got your construct really strong, everything else will flow. And I'll go into that a little bit more later in this one today. So if you've jumped ahead, if you've jumped ahead, you're completely missing the point. So one of the points of this is what you're capable of when you get out of your way. Now, here's the problem. Most people are in their own way because and it's going to sound a little harsh, but it's true, and I get it because I was totally in this, and I still am in a lot of areas. It takes that moment of realizing before I actually notice it. But quite often, we don't mean to. It's unintentional, but we kind of think we know better. We kind of think we know more. So a professional, for example, so I'll make a suggestion to you guys, and you might go, oh, nah, I'll do it this way. I've been doing it for 35 years. This isn't all of them. This is just some of the books I've written. So my question is, how, and again, this is not just for writing and it's not just for my program, how has not following the processes helped you achieve so far? And this is what I mean by I get it. I have a marketing mentor because I know nothing about marketing, and he'll say something and then I'll be like, yeah, but this. And I won't listen to him. I do this all the time and he knows it and I know it, and I'm constantly going back to him and saying, yeah, I get it now. And I'll go and do it my way. And it won't work. I can't blame him. I can't, because he's giving me the process that works. Now, the beautiful thing is he keeps giving me the process that works. He keeps giving it to me until I get out of the fucking way and I do the process and I do the steps. So my question is, if you're stuck in this stage in action, what haven't you done so far? What have you got in the way of? What are you resisting? And that's a great question. What are you choosing to resist right now? Is it your own potential? A lot of the times it kind of can come back to that. Is it, are you resisting being wrong? Are you resisting learning? Are you resisting, you know, finding out that you don't know something? And I think it's hilarious. Whenever you start something, no matter how good you are at it now, think about when you first did it. You sucked. So start sucking. Suck hard, suck fast. That sounded terrible. Kiara, shush. Suck now, because until you suck, you can't be good. It's not possible to be good until you go through the suck part. So go through the suck part, yeah? With anything. Again, not just writing, I'm talking about right here. And follow, I want to kind of give you a bit of a metaphor for it, because this was a very powerful one for me. Follow the river. Follow the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance is actually, for anything, following the steps. What so many of us try to do is we're in the river and we see the other end of the river, and you think about a river. A river doesn't go straight, it meanders, because it followed the path of least resistance to create its shape. So we stand on one end of the river, we see over the other end of the river and go, I want to go there. And we look at the river that's meandering and go, oh, that looks like it's going to take a long time. So instead of just jumping in that flow and just and getting there, we try and go from this point to that point. So we try and get out of the river, and then we've, got to go over all the obstacles and, kick our toe and fall over this and fall over that. And it ends up taking a lot longer. Whereas if we just stayed in the freaking river, we'd get there just like everyone before us. So yeah. Take that one. I love that metaphor. It was very powerful for me, particularly when I started writing the book Unhustle. That metaphor alone was kind of almost a point of realization for me of going from A to B, that's hustle. Whereas if you just follow the path of least resistance, it will get you there, and it's so much more calming, and it's so much more fun. So much more fun, because you get to see stuff that you wouldn't have seen. Like if you go A to B and you've got that focus point of I'm going from A to B and this is exactly how I'm going to get there and nothing's going to get in my way, which is total hustle, and what we're quite often told to do, you're going to miss all the freaking amazing opportunities that you would have found if you just followed the path of least resistance and just went in the flow and just went with the way the water was already going. It was already going there anyway. So you can't not get there if it's already going that way. Trust that makes sense. So I wanted to look at the real problem when it comes to writing. So writing is not an implementation problem. It is not a problem with, I need to just sit down and write. That's not the problem. Most people think it is. And it's commonly what I hear. It's like even in the 90-day challenge, people will say, I need to just sit down and do it. You're building resistance. All you're doing in saying that is building a further barrier. You're building more evidence that you can't. You're backing yourself. You're in your limitations. So all you're doing is arguing for your limitations, and that's kind of crap. Let's stop that, yeah? So the point is, though, in writing, implementation is not the problem. The only problem in writing is always mindset. Because here's the thing. Anyone can write. If you want to learn how to write good, as I said before, suck first and then go through the process of learning and you'll get better. You get learning by doing, you get better by doing, and also having someone who's experienced to walk you through that path. Exactly why I have a marketing mentor, because I know bugger all and I need someone to help me through that path. And I need someone who's going to put up with me going, yeah, but I'm going to do this. But I'm going to do this. Oh, wait, yeah, no, you're right. Okay, now I'll do what you said. So, all the time, just ask him. But the point is, it's all mindset. Everything. So, even in these 7 steps of scrolls that we go through, spine, construct, recarpet, action, WTF, loud and proud success, even in all those steps, each of those steps has an implementation process to it. But it's all backed by mindset, and everything comes back to spine. This is why I say do everything in order. Now imagine this. Imagine trying to edit something you haven't written. It's not possible, right? This is the next point. Tomorrow we get into WTF, which is editing. So if you're stuck here and you haven't written, you've got nothing to do tomorrow. Like, you literally can't do the next step of this program. This is why it's so important to do the steps in order, because the next step is the editing. The next step is the publishing. The next step is the feedback. You can't do any of those having not done the step before. Think of it the same way. You can't do the step of action having not planned it. You can't do the step of planning it having not worked on your mindset. And anytime anyone gets stuck in the 90-day challenge in particular, I always say, go back to spine, go back to spine, go back to spine. Always, 100%. That is pretty much the response they're going to get, is go back and refresh yourself on spine, because that is your why, that is your audience, that is your message, that is your focus point. Okay, that's your driver right there. Your driver is not what we're doing now. It's not the action. It's not sitting down and writing. The driver is your mindset. Again, not just writing. Trust that makes sense. Now, I hope nobody's actually I hope people are putting comments, but if you are and I'm not responding, it's because I'm on my phone, and I'll fix it up as soon as we get off here. Hopefully I can work out the gremlins and be back on the computer tomorrow. So, fingers crossed. All right, so what else did I want to cover on the real problem? If you struggle with any steps, spine is missing, construct is missing. Yes, we covered that. So here's the things to consider. Again, what are you choosing to resist? And I use that very carefully. What are you choosing to resist? Because it could be anything, but it is a choice that you're making to resist something that's coming up in you. If you can remove that, and a lot of the times, you know what? A lot of the times you're resisting judgment. And this might resonate or it might not. For a lot of people, it's resisting judgment. It's resisting fear. It's resisting getting it wrong. It's resisting not being perfect. All those things that we've already talked about in day 2 in mindset. If you're stuck on this point, go back and watch the first 2 videos. Yeah? Cool. Okay, beautiful. Oh, and also join the Right Now Community Hub, because over the next 6 months, that'll be the theme of focus, will be mindset. So it'll be a great place for you to be as well. What else? Yeah, the other thing, and I kind of touched on this before, make it playful. I have just in the last couple of days, and Kiara, if you're still on here, this will sound familiar to you. I have adjusted my mindset and vocabulary, which I've already told you guys. I can't say that word. Don't judge me. Judge away. I don't actually care. So I have changed work to play. So now I don't work Monday to Friday. I play Monday to Friday. I don't have an office. I haven't worked out exactly what I'm going to call my office yet, but it won't be called an office, but it's going to be called something like a playhouse. I was thinking my cubby, actually. I'm thinking that could be what it is. And so just the feel of it, I'm going to work. I'm going to play. The feel of it is so much more. So when you sit down to write, are you in the mindset of, I have to do this, this is work? Or in the mindset of, this is going to be so much fun? Because that's what I do when I write every time. It's going to be so much fun. For me, writing is always play. So think about the things that you love doing and connect with that playfulness and that love. Bring that into your writing. It's not meant to be work. It shouldn't have to be. Why would something that's going to share your message, that's going to impact the world, why would you turn that into something like work, or something that's, some of you might actually love the word work and it might work for you. You might have the meaning that it is playful, and rock on if you have, but I think for most people, I know for me definitely, the word work is heavy. Play is light. Bring that to your writing. Again, not just talking about writing, but in this particular circumstance, then turn writing into a bit of play. Like, I wonder what's going to come out today. And if you've done the 10-minute writing challenge, you'll find that stuff comes out and you're like, whoa, where'd that come from? And that is your evidence. This is why we do the 10 minutes. Give me a moment. There we go. Beautiful. Dropped out for a moment, guys. So this is why we do the 10-minute challenge on day 1 of action in this Elite 10 program, because it allows you to gather the evidence of what can come through, and you can be like, wow, that was awesome. So then you can start giving yourself the thought process of, I wonder what's going to happen today, and get excited about it and play with it. Don't turn writing into work. If this is the only thing that you take away from the Elite 10 program in your writing, take that. Writing should never be work. It's play. What are you going to do right now? I'm going to go play for an hour. Rock on, yeah? And the other thing, just coming back to that. So just relating that play back to the structure, okay? Because I know for some people, I did initially. I didn't see how play and structure went together. It was kind of a little weird to me. But if you think about any game board, anything, chess, checkers, Monopoly, whatever it may be, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever it may be, there is a set of guidelines and a set of rules, and they can be tampered with. They can be played with. But what they really are is a structure. It is a structure. That's it. Do this and this and this, and in between it, just have a bunch of fun. And that's how you actually go through the game. That's so everyone knows how to play the game. And then you teach people how to play the game. So really, actually, this is a good way to look at it. I've learnt how to play this game really well. I'm going to use Dungeons and Dragons. I know it's very popular right now, and I am quite into it myself at the moment. So if you're not, rock on, apply this to anything Monopoly or whatnot. I think Dungeons and Dragons is great because it is such a writing-based game and process. So you've got a dungeon master, and they are the ones that implement the rules. They decide on what happens next. But all of the players, all of the characters in there, they develop their own characters. They bring their own flavor. So all together, they create this magical world. But the dungeon master had to learn all those different steps so that he can then teach it to the people that are in his team, so to the players. So I'm your dungeon master. That's all. Rock on, yeah. I'm your dungeon master. You're my players, and you're creating your story. That's like a really cool way to look at it, I think. And for me, I love going over the other side. I love playing, and that's where I write my books, and I'm creating my stories and my characters. And for that, I have a dungeon master. So actually I have quite a few different dungeon masters. So I'm constantly learning my craft and honing my craft, because what I learn as being a player, I can then take into the dungeon master role. So trust that makes sense, yeah? And if you don't know Dungeons and Dragons, think of it as like Monopoly and the banker. I don't know, it's probably not as good an example, but it still kind of works on some level. So I wanted to give you a couple of really simple solutions for if you are getting stuck. Let me just check what time it is, because I've got this on my phone. Okay, we're good. We've got a few more minutes still. Okay, beautiful. So I wanted to go through a couple of really simple solutions for you if you are getting stuck, if you are experiencing the dreaded writer's block, which, you know what, doesn't exist. Writer's block is bullcrap. It does not exist. Writer's block is simply resistance to your own intuition. That's it. That's it. Follow this process. You've got no reason to have writer's block. However, if you're still feeling resistance, let's give you some things that you can do right now to work through that and overcome that, yeah? This is freaking gold. I'm about to give you some epic gold, and I'm going to have a drink first. All right. Let's get into this major goal. Number one, move. Move. Simple as that. If you're in a space, if you're sitting there, say you're in your office and you're at your desk and you're trying to write and you're in the space of, I don't know what to write, I can't, oh my God, it's not working, why isn't it, and you're getting stressed, get up and move. Preferably go somewhere different. Go to a cafe. I do amazing amounts of writing in cafes. The other thing is to move into a spot that you've anchored. So actually anchor a spot. Before you sit in that spot, this is what you do. When I sit in that spot, I'm going to fall into complete creativity. When I'm in that seat, creativity flows from me. When I'm in that seat, I'm completely open to intuition, and ideas just come through me and fall under the paper. When I'm in that spot, I don't even need to think. Writing, the words just come straight through, and I can't stop myself. It's just pouring out of me. Whatever you need to say to align, use that and anchor that seat. Now, when you've actually at that point and you're like, right, I know when I sit in that seat, it's just gonna explode, then sit down. If you sit down and it doesn't work, move, because your subconscious has not anchored it. Your subconscious has still anchored I can't into it. Move. So if you're sitting in a space and you're like, I can't, and you go away and you're like, and this is what happens. People are like, oh, crap, okay, I'll go procrastinate. They don't say this, but this is what they're doing. I'll go get a drink, I'll get something to eat, and I'll come back and I'll sit in the same seat, and I still can't. Of course not, because you've anchored I can't into that spot. So move. That's number one. Number two is write. Funnily enough, the way to overcome the inability to write or writer's block is to write. Write anything. Write dribble. And this is why we call the first draft the word purge, or in fiction they call it vomit copy, because you literally just write anything. Let anything come out. I have actually started days of writing by doing this, going, fuck, I don't know what to write about. Today's been shit and I've got no idea what I want to write about, and I really should be writing this and I know it, but I can't be asked. And if I keep going, something eventually starts happening. Something starts coming through, and all of a sudden I'm writing exactly what I wanted to be writing in the first place. And it's just by making words appear. The other thing is, if that's still not working, journal your day. Simply journaling your day and writing the day that you've had in all honesty. Don't hold back. Today was shit. I felt like crap and I didn't give a fuck. Just let it out. It's really, really, it's very therapeutic to do that, and you'll find that it will get you into the flow of writing. Because in that space, you're very intuitive, so you're opening up the channels, and then you can allow other stuff to come through. Then go back to your construct, and then follow the process. Okay. Number three, go back to spine. I've already said this, but let's say it again. Go back to spine. Remind yourself of why you're writing. Remind yourself who you're writing for. Remind yourself of your purpose, your intention, all of that. Remind yourself why this is important. For this 10-day challenge, remind yourself why you joined this in the first place. Yeah? Number four, eye patterns. This one's great. If I get stuck, quite often this is what happens. If I get stuck, I'll find that tend to be looking over this way, and I'm like, maybe I'm looking up or maybe I'm looking down to the left. And I find that all I need to do is shift where I'm looking. Shift over that way, and just allow intuition to come through. My intuition sits over here. It's very much in a kinesthetic space of to the right and down for me. But for you, wherever you sit, like I tend to write very, very audio. So from here, this is where a lot of my writing comes from. If I get stuck, I find that I'm looking up here or looking down here. So if I look down here, I suddenly find something I was missing. It's really interesting. Give it a try. Just give it a try. Notice when you're stuck where you're looking. And again, not just writing. Notice where you're looking. And I know a lot of you actually know a bit about eye patterns. I'm not going to fully go into this right now. I'm just giving you a tip. Notice where you're looking and just look somewhere different. And stay looking somewhere different until something comes through. And then the fifth one is change your language. Instead of saying I can't, say, you don't have to do it extreme. You don't have to be I can. Because your subconscious mind, remember your subconscious beliefs is like bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Soften it up. So if you, instead of saying I can't, say, it doesn't always flow, but when it does and I'm open to it, it flows so naturally. And when I sit in that particular seat, or when I'm in nature and surrounded by beauty, words just flow from me. Whatever works for you. But change your language from I can't to I might be able to. Change it to I can, if your subconscious will allow you to. But most people, I find a lot of people make the mistake of going too extreme, and their subconscious can't catch up with it and won't believe them. Soften it up. Soften it up. Okay? Trust that makes sense. So that's the end of our content for today. Now, your task for today is to finish your purpose intention piece. It's to finish your project intention piece. So for me, I'm writing the main article for the Thought Collective. So my job is to finish that by 5 o'clock tomorrow. Just the first draft. Let me just be really clear. Just the first draft. Not the final copy. We've still got a couple of days of editing. We've still got editing to do. Right now, just the first draft. Get the words onto paper. Remember what I said earlier? You can't edit a blank page. Get the words onto the paper, okay? And then what I want you to do is actually post in there how many words you've done and how long it took you. That's it. That's all your challenge is today, and your accountability. Post how many words you've done and how long it took you to do it. So do that and rock forth. Now, any questions? As I said, I'm not too sure if questions have been coming up and I can't see them on my phone. But if you have any questions, please pop them in there. If I don't answer, I'll make sure I go back and fix that when I get back onto my computer, because I can get on here to comment. I just can't get on the computer to do the live video. So for some reason. So I'm going to assume at this stage there's no questions, or if there are, I just can't see them, and I'll go back and I'll fix that up later. But we've had a bit of a long one tonight, a bit longer than I expected, but I think it's a very important one as well. So I'm going to leave it at that. And let me just do a bit of a brief overview catch-up. Make sure you follow the steps. It's all about mindset, not implementation. Get your mindset right and take inspired action. Turn it into play. Stop thinking about it as work. Make it play. And utilize some really simple tips, the tips that I gave you, just to move yourself through that if you need to. And have fun. Have fun. That's what it comes down to. Have fun. All right, beautiful. So that's it for tonight. Thank you again for joining me. And until tomorrow night, rock forth with awesomeness.